Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In case you missed it, I'm now going to start off these videos with my weekly word count updates, as well as the total project update. Like any sane person, I prefer to count the week as Monday to Sunday, not Sunday to Saturday. So just keep that in mind when I say weekly word count totals. This past week, I wrote a total of 2,897 words, which puts the project total at 49,259 words. Overall, that weekly total is not great, but progress is progress. While I would love to slide right back into the speed I used to have, I also have to keep in mind that resuming writing consistently is functionally the same as getting back into an exercise routine after several years away. What I mean by that is that the capacity just isn't going to be there right away, and it takes time to rebuild. Just because I could regularly squat 315 pounds for reps doesn't mean I can do that right now, and it would be dangerous to even try doing that. That means then that I have to rebuild the capacity I once had instead of jumping right back to where I left off. Obviously, there's no physical risk when it comes to writing, unless you have carpal tunnel, I guess, but you can absolutely break yourself mentally by pushing too hard too fast when doing a creative endeavor. Anyway, now onto the actual topic today, which is kind of related to what I just stated. I've been thinking a lot lately about the tedium that is writing itself. To be clear, I love writing, I love storytelling, I love being creative, all that jazz, but at times writing can be an absolute chore, just like owning a cat, and that feeling typically arises when you're having a difficult time getting through a given section of a story. In long-form stories specifically, this often manifests in the middle, since we tend to have a clearer vision for the beginning and the ending, but everything in between is harder to generate. This naturally leads into a feeling that your writing is hot garbage and that the whole thing sucks. But hot take, I actually think that can be a good thing sometimes. And I'm not expecting everyone to agree with that, but let me explain where I'm coming from. In my opinion, hating your own writing is completely normal and sometimes beneficial. I say this because it behooves you to be realistic about your ability at any given point in life with really any endeavor. I started writing books when I was about 10 or 11. At that time, my version of writing books was really just copying the latest story I'd read and pasting a different veneer to cover it up. And that was largely how my writing went until about the middle of high school, when I finally started getting a little bit more original, but not quite. And while the technical aspects of writing did improve as I got older and more experienced, I can guarantee that all those various iterations were still complete garbage. Again, that's normal, but it's also hard to understand, especially when you're a teenager, especially when you're starting out, and especially if you don't have any sort of writing group with which you can commiserate. Then by the time I was in college, not only did my writing production inevitably slow down because I had college stuff to do, I also hated it more and more all the time because it just wasn't good. There's a quote by Ira Glass that really encapsulates this. He is an American radio personality, and I'll post the full quote in the description of the video. But in essence, the issue amateur writers often run into is that our ability to be a good reader excels past our ability to be a good writer. Because your reading taste becomes much more refined much more quickly, you're able to identify what makes your writing bad, but you're not yet skilled enough as a writer to actually identify how to fix what's bad. And that's really the crux of the issue, because it's really easy to become discouraged with your writing if you feel like you're not improving when you think that you should be improving. But chances are you actually are improving, because your taste as a reader growing higher is actually a good thing and will propel you as a writer to continue to improve. And just like with lifting weights or any other kind of exercise type of thing, progress isn't always linear, and comparing two different abilities isn't necessarily fair. Again, personally, I think it's a good thing to be driven by a desire to elevate your own writing to your taste as a reader. Yes, taste is a subjective thing at the end of the day, but there are also objective pieces to writing, like character motivations, internal, external conflicts, etc., which is naturally what inexperienced writers are missing. And I plan to talk about that more in another video. Wrapping this back around to my experience, I would say I didn't actually start enjoying what I was writing until I was about 30, which is pretty daunting. I wrote a book that was just objectively bad. But after the almost 2.5 years it took to complete the project, I was finally able to grasp what had gone wrong and how to address those elements in my next book. That next book, The Broken God, is pretty damn good overall. And I say that with total sincerity, not just to toot my own horn, because I assure you, no one has ever disliked my own writing more than I have. However, my growth as a writer has admittedly become a bit of a double-edged sword. Now that I'm in a spot where I feel my writing ability is aligned and elevated to my taste as a reader, my writing speed has actually slowed tremendously because I've become potentially too meticulous for my own good, especially when it comes to writing a first draft. But finding balance is always part of the process. And if I may say so myself, I think this sequel, The Echoes of Eternity, is shaping up to be even better than its predecessor. But only time will tell. To wrap this up, I think there is a difference between enjoying the process of writing and enjoying the actual output of your writing. But if you stick with it long enough, you will eventually find that harmonious point in the middle where everything just kind of clicks together, both as a writer and a reader. That's it for today. I could probably talk a lot more about the whole journey of going from despising my writing to actually enjoying my writing, but I think you kind of get the gist of the whole story here. Let me know in the comments if you would like to hear more about all of that. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to hear more of my esoteric musings about writing. As always, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you here in the next video. Oh, here she comes. Watch out, boy, she'll chew you up.